Morning, we're turning back to hurling in the Ireland final and the season in general. Tommy Walsh, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Ger.
The dust is settled. How are you feeling about it now?
It's tough now. It's one of the toughest defeats we've got, I'd say, Ger. So disappointed. Like, normally you dust yourselves down and you look forward to the following year, but definitely finding this one a bit harder to get over. Like every All-Ireland is important. But I suppose, I always shout for the underdog, whether it's Kilkenny or whoever it is, like that. I'm an underdog man, and just seeing the lads, after losing the last couple of All-Irelands, I suppose I hurled with, 7 or 8 of them 10 years ago, and know exactly what they put into it. Talk about role models for your county or for young lads. I have young lads now growing up and training young lads, and they're the guys we want them to look up to, and you couldn't pick better role models. And that's from being in with them 10 years ago. And I know they've probably gone on to huge lengths since then. Like, the game has gone on so much from training 2 or 3 times, 3 times a week, we'll say, and maybe throw in a gym session every maybe 10 days. Now, they're training 6-7 days a week. Like, a recovery session now is nearly 100 metre sprints. And so just seeing what they put into it and just seeing him walking off the field after the disappointment of an All-Ireland loss there was heartbreaking enough, so. But listen, all congratulations to Limerick. They were bet by a team that is just absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, I think maybe one of the reasons why it's harder to take is that there's not much else that you can point to that Kilkenny could have done. Maybe a free here, or maybe a better shot selection, but they played about as well as they could do. They were feverish and tigerish in that first half, and it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, it wasn't enough, and I probably could easily go and went along with that argument that you said for a minute or two. But when you think back on it, though, games do change on so many moments. And you only have to rewind back to the All-Ireland semi-final, the Camogie one in Nolan Park there at the weekend, Tipperary and Waterford. It was 1-8 to 3 points, and it looked like an All-Ireland winning team versus a team that isn't a contender at that stage. And suddenly a few things changed for Waterford, and suddenly they look brilliant. So, I'd probably just any team that gets an All-Ireland final should be good enough to win it. And I believe in that Kilkenny team. I believe they have the forwards, they have the team, and they have the subs coming on. We said talking about their subs all year. Just a few different instances on the day just could have changed, regards the 65 that wasn't the 3 or 4 goal chances that we had, like David Reedy's hook on Alan Murphy. I thought was, it looked ordinary, but that was an amazing hook because he had so much ground. He's Reid hitting a beautiful kind of a messy type of a ball over the top and straight into the Kenny forward's hand, and Alan Murphy then nearly had a great goal chance. You had the Mossy slip, you had the half chance of a pull there in the second half, or went into Nicky Quaid in the end. He had the goal chance in the first half, and we did have a lot of points as well, Ger, that we normally would shoot over the bar. And we have to rewind with 60 minutes gone. I'd say it was around 60 on my notes, 59 minutes. There was only 2-3 points in it. A score, say if you had to got a few scores before that, suddenly you're 2 points up. It's squeaky bum time then. So I think the last 10 minutes probably painted a different picture of the whole entire game. And it's just, I suppose it is Limerick's ability to score 3 or 4 quick points. That's probably what stands them out from the rest. If you go through their team, especially say from midfield up, you couldn't say anyone was unbelievable. Regards Peter Casey scored 5 great points, scored 2 off 2 or 3, off different lads. He didn't score them all off the one fella. And I just think he got lovely ball time, hard to defend it. But other than, let's say, Peter scoring the 5 points, everyone else was only chipping in with 2 each. I think I had it down for 6 of the Limerick players scored 2 each. And, if you take Peter Casey's second half performance out of it, was it clear who was the man of the match? Normally you would in such a victory. But, no, I don't think they were that far away when you go back on it. But the scoreline, obviously, they were.
Tommy, I think it was Fan Larkin and Joe Hennessy saying to me last week, it's one thing walking around Kilkenny as a Kilkenny hurler, but walking around Kilkenny as a All-Ireland winning Kilkenny hurler is what they all dream of. Like, this is going to enter now a 9th year next year since Kilkenny won. Aside from those 7 or 8 players that you said you played with that maybe have won Liam McCarthy at some point, like, most of this Kilkenny team have never experienced winning a senior All-Ireland. So I think the last kind of half gap for Kilkenny was maybe 93 to 2000. You know, the rest of the time there hasn't really been much of a gap at all. So does the pressure rack it up now year on year until this particular team wins one?
I don't listen, when you get to the final it obviously will, because of the last couple of finals, but I don't think to win an All-Ireland championship for Kilkenny, that I don't think the time frame is really bothering anyone. It's not bothering me anyway, because this is a great Limerick team at the moment. I just think they have to look forward. When you're young, listen, you're always hopeful, and hope is what everyone needs. And like, with new players coming in from the Kilkenny under 20s, there'll be new players coming in all the time that'll have to be tried and tested. Like, we've seen the Cork team that won the All-Ireland in 99, full of young fellas against the head, the Kilkenny team in 82 against Cork. Like, young fellas win All-Irelands all the time. And that's what you'll be hoping for. But listen, they'll go back, and now is probably not the time, Shane, to be even thinking about that. It's too far away. What they'll be thinking about is now get back probably this week, probably a week or two off, back into the club action then. And it's amazing how January comes around quick and you forget it all and on you go again.
Yeah, so you're actually, there is hope then for that team, that it's less to spare. Before we move on, I do want to just talk about Connacht, because the lads in the Hurling Pod were asking, he's still only in his late 30s, mid-30s if you're nitpicking here. It's an incredible achievement to reach the point of this stage of his career where everybody now universally acknowledges him as one of the greatest coaches in the history of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you think back, I suppose, just looking at interviews and listening to guys, and you were talking to a few of them, Joe Hennessy and Eddie Kerr, that Shane the other day, like Father Tommy Marr, whilst we don't know the extent of the difference in his coaching, by their recollections of that time, it seemed to be something, similar, in that he started coaching players and analysing and showing them how to perform, and the skills and the acts of hurling. Then if you go on, just trying to think off the top of my head, like Eamon O'Shea for Tipperary was different. He brought that difference in movement, like that. When Eamon O'Shea came with that Tipperary team, like the belief and the traditionalists and everyone that was involved in hurling at the time, was all about winning your own ball, and that if you kind of ran away from your man, you were kind of afraid of him. Whereas when Eamon O'Shea came along, he changed all that, and that movement was key. So you saw the likes of Lark Corbett, Owen Kelly, young Noel McGrath, probably 19 years of age, Shamie Callanan. Their games went to new levels probably under Eamon O'Shea that mightn't have had under the old regime of hitting down the ball and winning your own ball. Cork, I don't know, was it Newtown Chandrum or
wasn't it Ben and Jerry's dad?
Yeah, I think it was that time. Like, the running game again was not a thing, like it was kind of frowned upon, but like winning then makes everything right. And that Newtown Chandrum and Cork team after that had huge success with the running game. And it probably boils down to using the coaching methods that suit your team, maybe, and dogging it out really against the public and not being swayed, which leads us on to Connacht. Not sure if I left out anyone there along the way, but they were off top. So Connacht, amazing, man. Like, I was speaking to someone down around there last winter, and they said even away from coaching, this man is a bit of a genius. So I'm not sure how true that is, but you're listening, it probably is. Regardless, his success, like, he's had huge success with Clare under 21s, and I think even the minors that time, he had success with the minors, Munster, but I don't think they won the All-Ireland that year, and came back though, and then was so successful with that Clare under 21 team. Went on to the Clare senior team then and won with Davy Fitz back in 2013. Again, different methods again, you'd have to say. Went against Eddie, went with sweepers, but I'm nearly sure not All-Ireland then. They pushed up and nearly went the old traditional way, changed it totally up. And then fast forward on then to this current Limerick team, sure, his success is off the wall. But his humility, I suppose, and his ability to stay out of the limelight is very intriguing too. Like, you'd love to know that bit more about him. But it probably boils down a lot too, Shane, and Ger, he's a teacher by trade and profession. And like, if you go back through all the great managers, coaches in the GA and hurling, like teachers have had a huge role. And I would say myself, like the skills and the tactics and all, that's one side of it. But just getting the players to believe, getting the players to buy into everything, like that is huge, because you're dealing with so many different personalities. And as we've seen with that Limerick, they have huge personalities, but they're able to manage them, Canerca and Kiley. But these teachers, you see, they spend 4 years or 3 years up in St. Pat's or whatever, learning how to deal with different personalities as such. And it's probably a trade. Like, you go off to be a block layer, you do a trade for 4 years. Go off to be a carpenter, electrician, you do a trade for 4 years, learning the different the bits and nuggets. And I think teachers have a huge advantage in that they're learning how to deal with, we'll say, Ger Gilroy versus Shane versus Joe Malloy. You know, it has to be huge. Because you're a big personality there, you take plenty of managing.
I was wondering where you were going with that, Tommy. Come here, you've picked a 15 for us for the season. So this is your All-Stars team.
Yeah.
Who are the certainties?
Yeah, so the certainties, I'll skip through to the full backline. Two in the full backline that I had is Mikey Butler and Hugh Lawler. So Mikey Butler, right corner back number 2. I just think, again, he's second year on the Kilkenny team. He had such an outstanding year last year. Got Young Hurler of the Year, got All-Star. You wonder, like, is he going to have second year-itis? But he didn't. He still marked the best of the best. Was brilliant all through. Even in the All-Ireland final, he was super. So Mikey Butler is right corner back. Hugh Lawler, I think, is Kilkenny's player of probably the last couple of years. He's an outstanding full back. He's the ability to play from the front. He's the ability to play from behind. He's massive as well in regards. He's brilliant in the air. I thought Aisling O'Reilly picked out his catch there in the second half of the All-Ireland final as a great moment. I thought it was unbelievable, because you can't let Galan behind you. 99% of the time he will catch that and it's goal. But Hugh Lawler caught it and down the field. The half back line then, I thought that was probably fairly straightforward. Diarmaid Burns, William O'Donoghue and Kyle Hayes. Burns has gone from level to level. Like, he's just going up the levels every year. Like, he started off as a kind of a guy that was wing back many years ago that might score a couple of points, but now he's just an absolute, they're like the wall of China there. The ball can't go past these guys. It's unbelievable. High balls, low balls, you just can't get past them. And he scored 8 points in All-Ireland final, 7 points from play, or 7 points from frees, and they're all tough frees. They're out in the wing, most of them under the Hogan or the Cusick. William O'Donoghue then centre back. William O'Donoghue is just an outstanding season. Even if he was midfield, he would have been picked midfield. I thought he was brilliant even up until the change over to centre back. He's the kind of enforcer for them. He loves being that mean machine, I suppose. He revels in it, really. And in fairness to him, he's very good at it. So just from playing myself, to have a player like that is kind of unselfish and doesn't probably look for the 4 or 5 points in play, it's unbelievable confidence for a wing back, that you can go off and attack the ball, that you know there's a lad there that is thinking of the team all the time and will defend for you. The other wing back then is Kyle Hayes. You know, he's probably up for Hurling of the Year as well. Kyle Hayes, centre forward last year, wing back this year. This man is unbelievable. I mean, I always go back to that Munster final goal he scored down Park Weave. That was just off the charts. So Kyle Hayes, is a certainty there. Midfield, again, 2 more certainties Darragh O'Donovan and David Fitzgerald. I thought David Fitzgerald had another outstanding season for Clare. His ability, and he gave Kyle Hayes enough of it any time they played him, and which is a fair mark and a fair testament to the player. But David Fitz has definitely gone on to be one of Clare's main players, and he turns up every single day. And to be an All-Ireland champion and to beat the Limericks of this world, you have to score a lot from play. And David Fitzgerald regularly comes up with 3, 4, 5 points. Darragh O'Donovan then, another probably lad that's probably up for Hurling of the Year. I thought he was outstanding for Limerick all year, especially when times were tough. This man is a busy body out around the middle. And nobody seemed to be able to get the better of Darragh there this year. Then half our line was tough. The full forward line then I thought picks itself. Aaron Galan, full forward Conor Whelan, and the other corner Owen Cody. Again, you know, if each of them won the All-Ireland, but each of them would be up for Hurling of the Year, I'd say. So that's why they picked themselves. Galan, just the go-to man. I think the best forward in the country at the moment. I think he's, you know, even Hugh Lawler had a great battle with him the other day, but still he had a few important possessions, and points and won a few frees. Conor Whelan then, the one trick pony. I think he's 2 tricks now. So he was outstanding, I think. He turned up every day, especially when they needed him, Conor Whelan. And the far corner then, Owen Cody. Owen Cody, just incredible year for such a young chap, 2 times Young Hurler of the Year, always shows for the ball, and very difficult as a corner forward maybe to have so many good games, but Owen was outstanding this year.
His dummy in the All-Ireland final, I hope it doesn't get lost to the annals of history, because it was amazing.
Yeah, I haven't been able to look back at the game now. I just remember it from being there, all right, but yeah, no, outstanding Owen there. There's a few little dribbles there. I'd say that was part of that one there in the first half. Yeah, incredible.
Right, so there's a doubt about the goalkeeper, left corner back and the half forward line. They're the only ones who weren't certainties for you.
Yeah, so on goal it was Owen Murphy or Nicky Quaid really. Ivor Quilligan had a great year as well for Clare, outstanding really. But the 2 lads, it was a straight shootout, I think. And I think puck outs, both of them are brilliant this year. I think saves, both of them are brilliant this year. But I suppose the save of the century in the All-Ireland semi-final was just the small one that really tipped the vote in Owen Murphy's favour. So Owen Murphy on the goal, but nothing between them.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Go on, sorry, yeah. And the other
left corner then was another shootout between 2 Limerick lads, I thought. Barry Nash and Dan Morrissey. I thought Dan Morrissey was he's always Mr. Fix it. He can play full back, centre back, wing back, just anywhere where they need him. He has always played. But full back is probably the hardest position in the field, and he's played there for the last couple of years. But I suppose what helps is that Limerick defend as a team as opposed to individual. So he was absolutely outstanding. The other corner, so who I will pick though, is Barry Nash.
Right.
Yeah, Barry.
Oh, have we lost Tommy there? The line appears to have gone. Yeah, we'll get him back. So it's Barry Nash he's gone for in the end. We'll get the rationale behind that, I think. As a distributor of the ball, as somebody who was trusted by Limerick for the short puck outs when they needed him, someone who always showed for it, as somebody who has transformed into a cornerback. Barry Nash he's put together quite the career.
Yeah, he's amazing. I think Sarah had opted for Dan Morrissey as a dark horse for Hurler of the Year.
Right.
Like saying he was definitely a late bolter with his performances towards the latter end. So that's a tough one. Like leaving Dan Morrissey out is tough.
Yeah, look, it's going to be it is going to be tough. It'll be interesting to see if the All-Star selectors skew more Limerick than Kilkenny on the back of the final tending to count double or treble.
Yeah, why is that like as well?
Because it's the All-Ireland final. So you've gone for Barry Nash there, Tommy, you're back.
Yeah, so Barry Nash then in the corner. I just think he's just an all-star. I think he's a guy you nearly have to mark every day you go out. He's a guy that's always attacking from the corner back. Like, it's rare that you would see that, and he has to be marked. I thought he was, in every game he turned up, he was either an 8 or a 9 all season. So Barry Nash corner back. I thought in the half back line then, I just thought an honourable mention, Diarmuid Ryan and John Conlon. I thought they were unfortunately missed out. They just missed out because the other 3 Limerick lads were just off the charts. So Diarmuid Ryan had a brilliant year, so did John Conlon. The half forward line then is the next one, and this was a tough one now, really, to be honest. But I went for Tony Kelly wing forward, TJ Reid centre, and Tom Morrissey the other wing. Tom Morrissey gets it on the basis of, I thought when Limerick were under pressure all year, Tom Morrissey was the one man that showed up time after time after time. Remember the All-Ireland Championship? Well, it starts with the league all year, then you go into the Munster round robin, then you have a Munster final, All-Ireland semi-final, final. So we can't just base it on maybe being outstanding in the final or that. So I thought Tom Morrissey just all year was just a go-to man. When everyone else was dipping in form, Tom Morrissey was there, and you could depend on him, and you could see the embrace maybe John Kiley had with Tom after the game. He knew how important that man was. All-Ireland finals aren't just won on the day, they're won in a couple of months beforehand, and Tom was crucial. Centre forward in TJ Reid. Listen, TJ at 35, 36 years of age, what he's doing is amazing, really, in the modern game. And he's not just standing up there in the full forward line trying to win ball. He's all over the field. And his catch, I thought, in the All-Ireland final, his pass even into for the goal chance near the end, just summed him up. He stays going till the very end. And we take free takers for granted. Like how many teams have lost games through vital frees. TJ rarely misses a free. He's kind of an 8, 9 out of 10 free taker all day long. In the old days, it used to be if you were a 7 7 out of 10 free taker, you were a brilliant free taker. Now it's gone up, the standard has gone up, and it's mainly down to fellas like himself and Horgan. He's the all-time hurler scorer, all-time scorer, hurling scorer of the year, of the century, so fair play to him. The other wing forward in is Tony Kelly. So this is between himself and Shane O'Donnell. Now, listen, I saw Shane O'Donnell was picked on the Sunday game, and listen, there was only, such small things changes for me, but I just look back at the scoring of Tony Kelly during the year. Like, he scored 4 points against Limerick in the round robin. He scored 2-4 versus Cork. He scored 13 points, 4 from play against Waterford. He scored 6 points against Limerick in the Munster final, 4 from play. He scored 3-4 from play against Dublin. He scored 1 or 2 points against Kilkenny, but he wasn't he wasn't too bad against Kilkenny. Like, he was on a bit of all. You just don't have to score to be have an outstanding game. And how could you leave a lad off with that scoring? So Tony Kelly gets number 10, just slightly ahead of Shane O'Donnell. Shane O'Donnell was outstanding.
And sorry, Hurler of the year then, who have you got?
Hurler of the year is, I didn't really even have to think about this, Gillan.
Right.
Yeah, I know Kyle Hayes was picked in some quarters there, but like Gillan all season was just brilliant. You couldn't mark him. He was unmarkable going back as far as the league. And this is a guy you didn't know at the start of the league, was he going to be back on the panel or not? By God, when he came back in style. Like, he plays from the front, he plays from behind. You just can't mark him really at the moment.
I think your point about this being a season-long thing, like, we now fully appreciate just how difficult it was for Limerick to get out of Munster, and they won the semi-final and the final by 9 points, notwithstanding the fact that the game was much closer in the final than the final scoreline suggests. But when the entire season was in the melting pot, it was Tom Morrissey and Gillan who were showing up in those games and getting them through, while the rest of the team were just getting the dirty diesel out of the system. So I think that's why I think you're right about Gillan, to be honest. Yeah, and Flanagan as well definitely deserves huge credit. He was quite in the semi-final and final, I suppose, Ger. I was worried about him for the final, but in fairness to the young Tommy Walsh there from Tullaroan, like, his performances probably get lost because the other two lads are so good. Mikey Butler and Hugh Lawler. Tommy, I thought, had if the other two lads weren't so good, he'd be an all-star. I thought he had an incredible season, and he was on Flanagan, kept him quiet for the majority of that game. Like, Flanagan was brilliant in that Munster Championship. Yeah, like, he was, along with Gillan, they're like the Twin Towers up there. Tommy, we got to go. I'll let you go. Thanks a million. That was great. Cheers. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye. Tommy Walsh there giving us his team of the year and his hurler of the year, Aaron Gillan.